I'm giving the board some more options, okay, and I'm putting more things on the table that are going to stir lots more pots up, okay. Basically, there are three options. Option A is what I've already given them that deals with the K-8, Springfield, and Everett. Option B now is going to have a lot more added to it. Option instead of Springfield and Oakland Terrace. But in both those options, I'm recommending 5 things. Okay, one is to close West Bay or repurpose it as we want to put, because later on we might use it for something else. Close Haney High School. Take Rosenwald and disperse its population between Jenks and Everett to make Jenks and Everett up to capacity. Close Shaw, move it, repurpose the building, but move the Shaw program to Haney. Make Haney basically Haney Career and Adult Center. And then, what's the 5th one I've left out?
Moving A.D. Harris to Rosenwald.
Yeah, moving A.D. Harris, making Rosenwald Alternative High School. Yes. We listened to we had a lot of input after we started talking about it, and that's what we wanted. We wanted to start that. Right now, the Tyndall kids go to Rosenwald, and we were looking at when we rezone. If we rezone to bring Jenks up to capacity and rezone to bring Everett up to capacity, we were going to be shifting populations all over the place. And when we started looking at it, Rosenwald's got a pretty good population, but most of them are bussed in, and we looked at it and it just didn't make any sense the dynamics of it. So we believe we can get Everett up to about 95-100% capacity, get Jenks up to 95-100% capacity by dissolving Rosenwald as a middle school. We'll make A.D. Harris, we're going to form a committee with A.D. Harris because it was part of that consent order, and this is where it needs to make sure it gets out correctly. We don't want to violate the consent order, and we don't want to offend the community. What I'm going to propose to the school board is, if they go with option 2 here, is that we form a committee that's made up of 3 members or 3 people that are involved in the original consent decree from the opposing side, 3 members from that community, 3 people that those folks can agree on, the superintendent and 1 school board member. Those 5 people will have to come in agreement of what happens to A.D. Harris. Originally, the consent decree required A.D. Harris to be used for educational purposes. So we don't want to make it something that the community doesn't want it to be. Okay? So we think that's how we can handle the A.D. Harris question. That's the gist of the plan that is option 2. I'm still leaving option 1 on the board with making Jenks and Everett K-8s. There are inherent problems in that. Okay, we know there are constructional issues and facility issues. It would be a one-time cost to do some of them. We think for $750,000 we can bring both of them up to par. Now people are going to say, well, that's a lot of money you're wasting, but and this is where it's incumbent upon you to help us to get this message out. That money we would use to fix those problems has nothing to do with the general operating money. We have funding for construction and capital issues like this that we can use that we can't use for other issues. It's sort of like people right now want to know, how can you build 2 gymnasiums? Well, we can build 2 gymnasiums because the state says we have to use this money to build. We can't use it to pay salaries. We can't use it for instructional materials. We can't use it for anything else. And so that's my concern, is that message, that information gets out there properly and everybody understands it. Now, West Bay came into play because when we were first doing this, when we looked at West Bay, I said, no, that's so far out there, we don't want to bus those kids all the way in, and it didn't make any sense. And we looked at, what if we shifted them to Bozeman, and we found out on 388, there's less than 10 kids that live on 388.
But what about the future growth?
Well, and I'm going to answer that. I'm just tell you why we made this decision right now. With almost 200 of the 300 kids that go to West Bay live on Back Beach Road. I didn't know that. I didn't know that till the 17th or 18th of December I found that out. And when I found that out, I was sitting here thinking, you mean we're busing them all the way down 79 to go to West Bay? It didn't make any sense to me while we were doing that. So what we did was we looked at the seats that we have at Hutchinson Beach Elementary. We looked at the seats we have at Petronas and the seats we have at Breakfast Point. We can get all those kids in those schools and bring them up to capacity. We're going to put West Bay in mothballs. There's a lot of plans right now for what's going to happen on 388. You know, and I know if it happens within 5 years, you know, then we'll come back and address it. Right now, 300 students in a school, plus they lost their Title I funding, they can't survive. They barely have enough money to pay the custodial cost and the overhead of telephone costs and everything else they have to. So we have to supplement schools that don't have at least 400 kids. 400 is about, from a business standpoint, 400 is about break-even point, right? And really, they don't get a lot of the things that schools with more populations get. That we have to give them the art teacher. We have to give them the music teacher. We have to give them all the different things that they need to equal out to the other schools. We can't afford to keep doing that. So that's, again, where the cost savings are going to come in. That we're going to bring these schools up to capacity better doing this than they've ever been. So as we're doing this, we're rezoning also. And so this is going to, I mean, you're talking about shaking up the apple cart. I mean, just but we can't keep doing everything we've been doing and don't have the money. We're looking anywhere between $11 and $16 million cut next year right now. And one of the things the public says is, you know, close the Nelson Building. If we close the Nelson Building tomorrow, that's $2.5 million. Okay, that's $2.5 million. Realistically, that's that's not going to solve the problem. I have had a committee working for over a month now, looking at restructuring the Nelson Building and making cuts. We're planning on right now we're looking at a 20% cut in staff right now in the Nelson Building, trying to make that. Okay, that's what our target is right now. The meeting tonight is for me to share this information publicly with the board. The meeting Monday night is going to be for the public to come and share whatever they want, to question, to talk about, to praise, to complain, do whatever they want to do. And that's going to be a very long meeting, I would imagine, okay? Because there's, everything's going to be out on the table. And so the board is going to have, now those are the two options I said. Now the third option is not do any of this. They do have that option. But to not do any of this is going to cause, I can't imagine that they don't want to come up with one of these options. The thing is, we're on a time frame, and I know you guys have already gotten the release of the scheduled meetings. We have to decide pretty quick what we're going to do. Next Wednesday is going to be the meeting where I officially bring the options to the board, and then I'll make a recommendation the following day of which one I suggest to them. Okay, and then we'll have to advertise that for 30 days before it becomes policy, and then we've got to do the rezoning. We can't do the rezoning until we do the school closure. So I mean, we're really in it, and that has to be advertised again for 30 days. So the time crunch is overwhelming right now, because on top of this, we're dealing with trying to get the budget ready for next year and everything else. So I mean, this is why it's imperative that I want to make sure you guys understood all of this. We think that by doing this, we're going to be a stronger school. But parents aren't going to hear that part. I mean, most parents, it's an emotional issue. When you get into emotion takes over, logic leaves. We can't play emotion versus emotion. If we start trying to have an emotional conversation with parents, we're going to lose. Yeah. We will lose an emotional conversation. We can't let it get to that level. Here's what I want to happen. I want to make the decisions that are going to impact us long term, that are going to make us stronger and better. I want to leave a decent fund balance in the district so that we can be a good school system and pay our teachers what they deserve. We're never going to be able to pay teachers what we deserve if we keep wasting money the way we're wasting it. And all the campaigning I did, and this isn't about politics right now, it's political, but it's not about politics. I never met or talked to any one group, including the Tax Watch group, that didn't want our teachers to make more money. But they wanted us to quit wasting money. And they're right. And every business person out there is right. We waste money. I don't think we waste $100 million, but there are wastes that we can get better at in becoming more efficient. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think if people see that we're going to become more efficient, we'll be able to go back to the community one day and say, look, we think we're doing better, and we deserve you to support a half-cent sales tax, and we want to make our schools better, and we want to build more things for our schools. Until we prove to the community that we're doing what we should be doing with the money we have right now, we're not going to be able to pay our teachers more. We're not going to be able to go back and ask them for that half-cent sales tax more. But if we can do this, we're going to be able to do both of those things. That's what my goal is.